Everyone can take their seats, or I guess find a seat.
Find your place.
Find your place. And we'll start with Arthur, our Sergeant of Arms.
Please join me in saluting the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Gracious God, we look back upon this past year, this past Rotary year with thanks. We look ahead to a new year with expectation and hope. We ask that you would enliven our hearts and minds to be of service in the world. Bless us now as we gather here and the gifts placed before us. We pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome, everyone. Take your seats, please. Make yourself comfortable. I am happy to be here today not for the last time ever, for the last time in this seat. It's been a great year, but it is Dawn's turn. I just wanted to take a minute to introduce some of our guests. We have the 2017-2018 District Governor, Karen Gaffney, with us. We have the 2018-2019 District Governor, Steve Sager. And someone who has been so helpful to me throughout the year, our area governor, Assistant Governor, Elliot Rittenberg, so thank you very much for joining us. And our speaker this evening is our town manager. Welcome back, Kevin Mizikar. We're very happy to have you here today. And just moving through the program, I guess the next event is my year in review. So I'm gonna be pretty brief here. John made a point about my talking about my speech last year, and I think it was a minute and a half. Yeah, and I'm about the same amount of time today. But I wanted to, maybe I should stand. Truly thank you for the opportunity to serve as your president over this past year. I'm pleased to say our membership has grown from 26 members to 34 members throughout this year. And I think that's, that's great. And Judy's not here as our membership chair to thank her, but a lot of that has to do with our dedication to that throughout the year. And many of our members are very involved. The new members that have joined have jumped right in. We have our Brew Fest this weekend, so shameless plug for Brew Fest. Please get your tickets. And also other things that we did throughout the year, our other service projects. The calendar is constantly evolving, and it's growing, and we're changing the theme of that, so thank you for Craig and Mindy last year for your hard work on that, and good luck this year as you evolve it to the next level. Recycle Day is also a big fundraiser for us, and it's the fundraisers that we do that allow us to do some of our service projects. We did senior dinners this year. The From the Heart that Stu worked so hard on throughout the year has evolved from 2 schools to 5 schools, so that's constantly growing. We took on a new district project with Worcester, and that was Abby's house, thanks to Angela's participation in that. We donated dressers to a new construction wing at Abbey, so it's always good to add things at district grants. Recently I attended, Elliot ran a event for current presidents, and we were asked to share the thing for which we are most proud during our presidency. And a lot of the different members talked about different things they had done, but for me it's really our members, it's our group, and it's the involvement of our group. And really, it's just these people, you all are just so willing to work together, you believe in service over self, and I think what's been so nice for me is to be able to call you my friends, and I think that's what's been so great about this year. Last year, I gave a bottle of wine to Frank because he finally had a chance to drink. I'm going to give you a bottle of wine because you may need a drink. So good luck to you. Open it up. There's some Rotary wine glasses in there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, they're wrapped carefully. I don't
No,
think
they're not.
They're not?
No.
But she keeps moving and it keeps coming up more and more. And it's like,
And they say Rotary.
Oh, they do.
Yes. So as you're reading
Thank
all
you.
your Rotary emails, you drink wine from your Rotary. I guess I probably should have got a coffee mug, but
Don't tell Steve that.
Yeah.
Don't want him drinking wine.
no.
Responding to his emails.
But I didn't want to take up too much time talking about the past. I wanted to give our speaker ample opportunity today. So I will now turn the floor over to Mr. Mizikar.
Thank you. Thanks. So it's a pleasure to be here with you again. I checked my calendar. I was last year in November. So at that time I had a few months on the job, and Don had spoke to me that day, and he was kind of looking forward to, I think, today, and he kind of put a mental note in my head and said, well, if you're available in June, perhaps you can come back and talk, because have been there about a year. So he's absolutely right, and I made it, which I'm happy about so far. So I am just myself 3 weeks shy of being in the Shrewsbury Town Manager position for a full year. So it's also a great time, like Kathy, to kind of take the opportunity to look back and reflect upon all the challenges and the opportunities that we've had over the last 12 months with the town. So I made myself some notes in preparation for this, because I just want to thank Don, because it really gave me the opportunity to go back and reflect on the last really 12 months and see how things have changed, and hopefully how we've kept things moving in the right direction to serve the residents of the town. So if you'll excuse me, I just refer to these throughout the presentation. And I'm certainly happy to answer questions or take comments or anything at any time throughout. So if there is anything that piques your interest, just please let me know. So Don asked me to think about a couple things. What have I learned on the job for the first 12 months, and then what do I see the greatest challenges and opportunities for me and for the town for the next 3 to 5 years. So I kind of took that to heart literally, and reassess what we've done, and look forward to challenging myself over the next few years and moving the town forward. So first and foremost, I think there's 3 main lessons, 3 things that I really learned, some of which I thought I knew, but didn't know to the degree, to the extent that I now have the comfort and ability to know at this point. So first of all, it's the staff and the team that I work with. What an amazing group of individuals that are really servants that come to work every day willing and ready to put themselves out there for the residents of Shrewsbury and come up with creative solutions and the ability to continue to move the town forward. So a couple things that really come to my mind to illustrate what we've done over the past year. First and foremost, that's what we always look to do is put the community in a place that it can make a decision for itself. As a town manager, many of the things that I think and that my highly skilled team think may not be lined up with what the community wants to do. It's our job to be impartial and to be leaders in the background, and provide as much information as we can for the community to make a decision on their behalf. And what comes to my mind is an interesting topic of recreational marijuana. We spent probably over 100 to 150 staff hours combined in preparing for a special town meeting that occurred in April. And throughout the course of that process, we learned so much about marijuana, the marijuana industry, and then of course people in the community are very thoughtful and passionate about different positions. And marijuana elicits a lot of passion within the community and thoughts on both sides. So I was really happy to be part of that team and leading the community to make a decision, and perhaps that's a decision that town meeting made that was unexpected, or perhaps it was expected. But I think what we're most proud of from the staff standpoint is that we provided enough information for a decision to be made. So many communities continue to struggle with the role for adult use marijuana within their communities. And I've had several conversations after the town meeting asking, what my opinion was, prefaced with the statement that you let us through without really tipping your hand to what you thought about it. So that's always comforting for me, because that is our job as the day-to-day public servants within the community to be able to give the community the opportunity to make its own decision. So another area that comes to mind is really being able to serve the residents on their behalf and work to advocate to make sure that they're both protected and gaining the greatest benefit from different things that are going on in the community. So the second topic that came to mind for me was we've also spent a lot of time with developers over the last 12 months. And probably the largest developer that we've worked with is the company that's interested in redeveloping the Edgemere Drive. So that new development that continues to move forward would be anchored by a market basket. And that developer, I think rightfully so, and a position that a lot of developers came to the town and said, what will the town do for us?
Oh, I didn't.
And in a lot of towns, that starts the race to the bottom and providing incentives that does not line up logically what it is that we are seeking from that development, which is the continued growth of the community so we can provide for ourselves and for each other. So we had a lot of back and forth with that very highly skilled development team and trying to manage what the developer was going to receive from the community and the incentives that the community would receive from the developer. So really outside the scope of a conventional tax model or tax agreement that will reap from the property that's developed there. That developer was really trying to push the town in a direction to provide incentive. Just it wasn't equal with what we would normally provide. So staff really sat down and held to our position, which is that Shrewsbury remains a desirable community because we're a healthy community financially, and we're not willing to risk any single development, let alone the next shiny or potential development, to risk the future of the community. So we basically agreed to only doing what we would have otherwise done in the past for that section. So we are looking to rapidly develop and enhance the public infrastructure within the Route 20 corridor. And we were able to hold our position for the community and not have to provide anything additional to community, really sell on behalf of the community, really sell the community and its merits to the developer. And I'm proud to say they continue to be at the table with us and moving forward, hopefully into the permitting phase and construction phase by early 2019. And then one of the last things that comes to mind as far as that highly skilled team goes is finding a way to better and more effectively provide on a day-to-day basis for the residents of the community. So really since I started interviewing for the position, which was in April of 2017, there's been a lot of discussion about how the organization is structurally organized, the amount of staffing that we have in place, and the level of resources that we have to be able to provide the vast array of services to the residents that we're expected to and that residents really deserve. So the town really, in simple terms, works from an organizational structure that was developed in the early 1950s at a time when the town was just over 10,000 residents, and there's a passage in one of the old annual reports that said they were now a big community because their annual budget reached $1 million consistently every year. So we now operate from a annual budget that's $122 million a year, with $142 million total investments in operating funds that we'll put in place for fiscal year 2019 alone. So obviously we've changed a little bit from the 1950s from a financial and a population standpoint, but the organizational structure, to the credit of my predecessors, has really remained very efficient, very thoughtful, but I honestly think that it needs to change. And we've been working over the course of really the past 12 plus months to determine what the best direction is to preserve what's most important and has worked for the community, but also be able to modernize it as we work through some more complex problems and want to take a different approach to both management and operations within the community. So being able to combine all those different ways that we serve residents over the past year really has brought me a very high level of fondness for the staff that work within the town hall and in the various departments, and that's really the number one lesson that I've learned and will continue to build upon in my role as town manager. And honestly, not because there's two of them in the room, but that leadership and stability really comes through the Board of Selectmen. So Selectman DePaul and Selectman Cassavant both are participating here today and are here today. And really my hat's off to them, because at any point in time throughout the course of the year, this is the first board that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a few in my career, that I didn't hesitate to pick up the phone if I had a question, and I wasn't afraid to tell them that I didn't understand something or needed more background or detail or their opinion. They readily gave it, and then they readily stepped back from that situation and allowed us to work together on the solution, or they worked in the background to develop it. So that's why it all works. That's why, despite not a lot of organizational changes, that the structure of the town has worked so well. And I've truly benefited from working with them over the past 12 months as well. So a couple other things that I just wanted to point out that really stood out to me as I reflected back on the year is the desirability of the town of Shrewsbury is much greater than I ever expected. So being in the local government profession for a while now, and in Massachusetts for 8 years, I really knew Shrewsbury was a desirable place to work. But the level of interest in the private sector and in individual residents and wanting to locate their business or bring their family to the community is something that I totally underestimated. And it goes back to that staff and to the leadership and all those things. But I really underestimated that. I think if we fast forward 3 to 5 years from now and look back from the time period of 2015 through 2015 or 2016 through 2020, 2021, at that 5 to 7 year period, it'll probably be one of the highest private investment growth periods within the community, especially from a commercial investment standpoint. If we look at Lakeway Commons, the UMass Shields development of their ambulatory surgery center, the interest from Market Basket, the interest from Reliant to build an ambulatory surgery center, and then a couple other either multifamily developments or kind of one-off commercial uses. I think that time period will probably yield around $200+ million in private investment and assessed value within the community. And I mean, that's a phenomenal number. So I look forward to being able to look back upon this time, but really that desirability, whether it's individuals wanting to have their home here or businesses wanting to locate within the community, is something that I've never expected. We're actually at a department head meeting in midwinter, kind of the midwinter doldrums, and we're kind of going around the table sharing what's been going on with staff, and I could sense that the level of workload, especially within the development team and those departments that deal with the developers and issue building permits and other type of regulatory aspects for the community, I could sense that they were really overwhelmed and becoming overburdened. And we took that opportunity to kind of reflect at that point on how good it is to be a desirable community. So we took that, what seemingly could be negative and put us in a bad mind frame the next time we were going to deal with another developer or resident that had a question, and turned it around. The staff is always willing to do that. Sometimes it takes a little perspective to do it, and it's just amazing to see the amount of interest that comes in and out of the town hall on a day-to-day basis. And I think this kind of leads me into the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead. Something that I also didn't expect was that my idea in management and direction and leadership is not necessarily the same as it was for the prior two long tenured managers. So sometimes we're a little too introspective and introverted in how we think things should be done, especially when we get into leadership roles. And I came into this position assuming that my thoughts on how strategy, goals, direction, and leadership was occurring within the community was actually happening, and it was actually quite different. And it's interesting to see that perspective and to stand in my predecessor's shoes and see how he operated things. It's just interesting to me that my assumptions in many instances didn't play out, which has given me a new perspective and new tools within my toolkit to use as we move forward with the community. So I guess the final thing that comes to mind on my reflection is that I'm very fortunate to be in this job. I love doing what I do on a day-to-day basis. A community like Shrewsbury, although I underestimated it, is always where I've wanted to be in my career. And I'm fortunate to be able to work with that team that I have and to the leaders within the community to really do things in my career that I haven't been able to do in the past, given the resources of the community, the communities that I've worked in. So let me turn to a couple of challenges real quick and wrap up with a few opportunities that I see ahead. I think the biggest challenge for me personally is continuing to maintain the level of desirability in the community and make sure that we don't hit any snags. I think whenever the level of desirability is as high as it is, and the level of expectations continue to be set with a very high bar, it's easy to kind of miss something and get a snag that kind of unravels the entire sweater. So making sure that culture is in place of continual improvement, engagement with the community and learning is something that I think for me will be the biggest challenge in my position. And likewise, the town challenge would just be managing the desirability without plentiful resources. And I'm not talking about resources from a financial standpoint at this point in time. The town of Shrewsbury has grown, as we all know, population-wise and a number of businesses all throughout the last 50 plus years or 60 plus years. With the benefit of a lot of natural resources and open land space at its disposal. And just when you thought you couldn't get another house on that street or you couldn't get another business on that lot, it's happened. But we're really starting to, I think, at least see a change in the marketplace where the desirability has remained the same. Developers still come to the community, but the complexity of those developments are becoming more and more challenging. Because of the types of construction and the complexities of the physical environment and the limitation on the infrastructure and resources that we have in place. So again, maintaining desirability whenever you have acres and acres and hundreds of acres of open land to develop and grow and expand is one thing, but managing that environment with limited infrastructure, which has been in place for a number of years. It's not necessarily unique, but we are certainly reaching our capacity with available land resources. And that little market reflection of that, over the past few years, we've seen a lot of, on the residential side of things, a lot of single-family homes or lots that would have been single-family homes now becoming duplexes or multifamily homes. So that is a financial model that's working for the private developers, but continues to strain the community from a resource standpoint, because while their financial gains may be exponential from developing one lot into two-family homes, the tax revenues and other incentives that the town receives from that, while providing twice as many services in some instances, don't always line up with each other. So kind of opportunities for the next 3 to 5 years as I wrap this up. So for me, just would be personal and career growth. I think I know a lot now, and I'm sure I don't know half of what I'll know in 3 to 5 years. Some of that has to do with the way the world operates these days. The level of information and complexities that we deal with on a day-to-day will continue to challenge us to grow. That means that I'll have to grow employees. There's no way that I can handle the level of services. I don't think I can handle the workload that Mr. Morgado handled on a day-to-day basis, so I give him all the credit in the world. I still haven't found his cape in the closet to make me any better than I am, but I know it has to be in there somewhere because the amount of work that he completed was really second to none. But my goal is to really make myself the most dispensable person on a day-to-day basis within that organization. I can't be looked to make all the decisions. I can't be a thought leader. That takes a group of folks, both my internal team and the continued leadership of various committees, Board of Selectmen, the school committee, the finance committee, to make sure that we keep moving in the right direction. And the biggest opportunity that lies ahead for the town, I think, is being smarter from an infrastructure standpoint, whether that's the conventional smart city, Internet of Things, as we use technology to allow us to help do our jobs better and service the community on a more robust basis, and also how we use staff and resources differently than we have in the past. So the private sector has rapidly changed and evolved in how they provide retail services, how they provide other certain medical services, and things to their constituencies, whether it's on a remote basis or through the internet or other forms of technology. And I think the town has a lot of room to grow in those areas, and I look forward to help guide the ship in that direction. So I just want to thank Kathy and Don again for the opportunity to be here with you today. I'm happy to take any questions or follow your lead on that. Thank you.
I think we might have a couple of minutes, but we have something for you.
Okay.
And it's our Shrewsbury Rotary flag for your office.
Great, thank you.
So we just want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And this is for the second time, and we'd love to have you come every Monday at 12:15.
Yeah.
We need a picture for the. Great, thank you.
Yes,
And I think Maureen will probably give us a signal in just a couple of minutes, but did anyone have a question? Oh, you have, okay, excellent. I guess there's another presentation for you.
Great.
Not well planned, Kevin. Sorry. We've been working on a project for high school students to write and then publish in the book. And it's a long story, and I won't go into all of it. But I'd like to have you have copies of our last two books.
Great, thank you very
For you
much.
to have-
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
guys.
Come back to you for a picture.
I'm so well dressed for this picture.
All right, well,
As our program continues, we just want, it's the official swearing in. Stand here, you're president. You're gonna be the new president. You stand next to him.
All right.
I'm president-elect, I want to be after. So I want to turn the floor over to Steve Sager for the official part of our program. And as Cliff says, we get sworn in so we can be sworn at.
Being sworn at is a good thing.
Yes.
Kathy, thank you very much. I'm going to ask you in a moment to ring the bell one last time to signify the end of your term and your turn being president for the club. You've done a phenomenal job. You've grown the club. You've led it. You've left it in much better shape. So Don's year is going to be a lot easier. But the sad news is, sorry to burst your bubble, your job is not done. Your advice, your experience, and your wisdom are needed by this board and by Don and your club to continue. So you're not going to leave. You got to
No,
stick
I'm not
around.
gonna
But thank you for your service. I think everybody should give a round of applause. Ring the bell one last time and then hand me the gavel. Good job. Don, so you've been selected as president of the Rotary Club of Shrewsbury to lead this club for 2018-2019, starting very soon, I guess, in a few
Next
moments
week.
after.
Actually, yeah, next week.
Next week. Being selected as president shows that this club entrusts you with the responsibility of leading the club. It's an expression of their confidence in you as a leader, and you are the right person to do this. Now, I know that you've worked hard over the past year training. You've been in the president-elect orientations. You've been in the president-elect training seminar and the district assembly and everything else. I know you've worked hard and with diligence to prepare and plan your year. And you are the right person to lead this club. So with that, Raise your right hand. Do you freely and voluntarily accept and understand the charges of the office to which you're elected?
I do.
Will you work with diligence for the betterment of this club?
I will.
Will you seek out and rely upon the assistance of your officers and directors in executing your duties as Rotary Club President?
Absolutely.
Repeat after me. I, Don Harbert,
I, Don Harbert,
do solemnly pledge
do solemnly pledge
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the Rotary Club of Shrewsbury,
that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the Rotary Club of Shrewsbury,
uphold the Constitution, Articles of Organization, and bylaws of this club,
uphold the Constitution, Articles of Incorporation, and bylaws of this club.
see, I threw that in because I'm a lawyer, I have to do that. Administer the duties of the office of President to the best of my abilities,
Administer the duties of the office of the President to the best of my ability,
and in a businesslike and ethical manner.
and in a businesslike and ethical manner.
And I will do my best to support Rotary District 7910 and Rotary International.
I will do my best to support District 7910 and Rotary International,
And the district government.
and the district governor.
Throw that one in too.
That way. So, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Shrewsbury, I hereby declare you duly installed as the President of the Rotary Club of Shrewsbury for the 2018-2019 year.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I do have a little present for you. As you know, the theme banner for this year is Be the Inspiration. And I want to give this to you to hold on to, and hopefully you can have that
All right.
displayed at all your club meetings to remind you that you are the inspiration and your club's going to be the inspiration of the community. So you've accepted this great challenge today, but you're not going to do it alone. You have behind you your officers and directors here, and they're going to help you every step of the way. Officers and directors, you've been selected for a very important role. Your help is needed in the administration of this club. The selection of you as officers is really an indication of the esteem that this club places in you, not just because you missed a meeting, but actually because you are good at what you do and you are needed to help Don lead this club over the next year. So I ask each of you, will you fulfill the responsibilities and duties of your office to the best of your ability and in accordance with the Constitution, Articles of Organization, and bylaws of this club?
I will.
So please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Gerber,
Do solemnly pledge
do solemnly pledge
that I will fulfill the duties of my office in the Rotary Club of Shrewsbury
I will fulfill the duties of my office in the Rotary Club of Shrewsbury
to the best of my skill and ability,
to the best of my skill and ability.
that I will work with diligence for the betterment of this club,
And I will work with diligence for the betterment of this club.
that I will support our President, Don Harbert.
That I will support our President, Don Harbert.
Say that one more time.
We'll support our President, Don Harbert.
And I will abide by our club's constitution and bylaws and the four-way test.
I will abide by the
Constitution.
You're doing a great job. And I will abide by the club's constitution and bylaws and the four-way test.
And I will abide by the club's constitution and bylaws and the four-way test.
Good enough. I hereby declare you the officers and directors of the Rotary Club of Shrewsbury for the 2018-2019 Rotary year. Now, there's one more thing that we must do, and that is for you to ring the bell signaling the beginning of your term. But you aren't doing it alone, so I am going to start with Julie and have her pass the gavel all the way through these people. So as it passes along, remember that the power of this gavel comes through these people behind you. You can't do it alone.
Here you go.
I think this is yours.
Congratulations.
Should we do dessert right now or finish the program? We don't have much left.
Well, looks like Maureen needs a little bit more time. So you want to
Okay.
finish the program and
Yeah.
then move on to dessert?
Sure.
Okay.
So my goal is to be as short as Kathy. So I want to thank you all for coming. and for offering me the opportunity to be your president for the next year. What I thought Steve was going to say after all this training, I thought he was going to say, but nothing's going to prepare you for the year ahead. But all the presidents that I know, nothing has prepared them for the year. Oftentimes, incoming presidents talk about goals for the year. For me, that's a really short topic, because my primary goal is don't screw anything up. As Kathy mentioned, we've had a really great year. Lots of new members, great fundraising, great service projects, and I need all of your help to make sure we maintain that momentum. We've had actually 18 new members in the last 2 years, 17 in the last year. The growth has been about, on an absolute basis, about 10 to 15%. So we did lose members, so we do need to maybe look at why we're losing members, but we're certainly attracting new members. And many of those new members are young. At my age, most everybody is young, but I truly mean we have some young members with a lot of energy and who are willing to devote some of their spare time to helping Rotary and helping Shrewsbury. So I'm quite appreciative of that, and I think everybody in the club recognizes those new members and how quickly they've jumped in to help. That said, the board has decided on 2 new initiatives for 2018. First is to establish a 501c3 foundation. And we formed a group of 6 of us who are going to bring back to the board no later than the end of October the proposed bylaws, organizational structure, how it will relate to the club, anything else we think is necessary to organize and form a 501c3. The second initiative is to try something that some local clubs have had success with, and that they have called that the Freshman Project. And in our case, we have 17, 18 freshmen. People have joined in the last year or 2. And the plan is to offer that group of 18 people to self-organize themselves and to create 1 or more service projects that involves all of the club members. And we've actually budgeted $1,000 to support those 1 or more projects. We'll have more details on that at an upcoming assembly, but you can, those of you who are new members can be thinking about what the town of Shrewsbury might want in the way of service projects. And finally, as a goal, Kathy already mentioned it, we have to make the Food Brew Fest next week a big success. We need to thank the committee, Stephanie and all her committee members. They have organized 30, how many vendors do we have now?
We're 28, I think.
28, close enough to 30 vendors, and they expect people to come to the event. So come yourself, bring your friends, bring your family, stop people on the street, sell them tickets, whatever it takes to get people to come to the Brew Fest. So I think now we'll have dessert, and then Cliff has some recognitions that he needs to do. Is that right, Cliff?
Sounds right.
Okay, so we do dessert now, you think, Kathy?
Or
Or keep going with the program?
I think maybe keep going with the program, and we
Okay.
can always, it looks like Maureen has it set up there, so we could grab it and, what do you eat? What time is it?
It's about 1:20. Fine. You want to keep going, Cliff?
Keep going.
All right, you want to do the recognitions, Cliff?
Sure.
All right.
I've got to go get some stuff. First of all, there's one thing that didn't get done in time, and that's his fault. That is that we had an illegal board meeting, and I'm sure no one will fault us for doing this, because one member of the board wasn't present. That was our president. And the reason for that is that we decided that we wanted to award 2 Paul Harris fellowships this year. And so what we did was complete the necessary points for, and I don't have the stuff. My guess is I'm going to go home and it's going to be in my mailbox today. But we decided that we wanted to bestow a Paul Harris Fellowship on our outgoing president,
I'm gonna cry.
Kathy, and also on Stu Dean in recognition of the yeoman's work that he's done. So the incentive to come next week is that the certificate and the pin will be here then. But while we're giving pins, and while Kathy's still verklempt before she recovers completely, there are a couple of things that we want to give to you. Let me unpack these. One is that gavel that got passed down is yours.
Michael's gonna love that I have this.
Well, and I should have unwrapped this
He's probably
before
gonna
I got
stick
here.
to
They
that
used
board.
a industrial strength tape here. And here is a plaque to hang it on the wall.
Thank
Whoops,
you.
upside down. There we go.
Excellent, thank you.
Whoops, right on.
Perfect.
The other is an opportunity to give you an artificial diamond, cubic zirconia, but you're a past president's kid. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
You're welcome.
you. Thank you
So,
all.
good job. Thank you. And while I'm doing that, so this year I ordered the same plaque and I got a different gavel and a different plaque. Yours screws on, Don, but here's your gavel to be used during the coming year.
Thank you.
And don't lose it because there's something else that goes with it, but you get that next year. And finally, Perfect Attendance Awards. We decided to give a certificate this year. I have a drawer full of perfect attendance pins at great expense to the club, and that seemed ridiculous. So we're going to give you a paper certificate this year. The important thing is the recognition. So in alphabetical order, this year, Perfect Attendance Awards go to Matt Armenti. Congratulations. Stu Dean, who represents Alternate International Corporate Membership along with his wife Judy, so you get to share one piece of paper, but here you are. Come get it. And I wish I knew how many this would be for this next person, but Art Dobson probably... How many years of perfect attendance do you think that is, Art?
38.
38 years of perfect attendance. You're going to, Leonard White, you're going to challenge him before you're done, right? How many years did Leonard have? Anybody know? It was over 60 years of perfect attendance. Amazing. He was a member of the Harbert Club, but used to do frequent makeups here, so we all know him very well. This guy, it's me.
Yay.
Don Harbert.
Oh, thank you.
And Kathy. You don't have
Thank
to
you.
come around again.
You have to be here every week. It's easy to get 100% attendance.
That's right. And Judy Merriman, who is unfortunately not here today, she is, I understand, wrestling a kidney stone. And yeah, I've done that myself. That's really awful. And Julie Parent. Actually, I'm going to give you Judy's as well. You can walk across the street and give it to her. Owen Russell.
Thank you, sir.
And Angela Tidman.
All right, I have a couple of things.
You've got a couple things.
Maybe should have gotten wine, but instead we have flowers.
Oh. Thank you.
We really
They're
appreciate what
beautiful.
you've done this year, and we all know that you not only were the president, you're working full-time, your daughter is a dancer, you go to dance competitions almost every weekend,
Feels like it.
and you still found time to be a great president, so thank you very much.
Thank you. I have to come for lunch.
And we have another retiring officer, Angela. Not only retiring, but most of you know, leaving the club. She'll be joining the Worcester Club, is that right? But her office is only about 2 miles over there, So I think we're closer for a meeting, Rotary meeting, than the Worcester Club is, right? So anytime you want to come here on Monday to maintain your 100% attendance, we'd be happy to have you. And we have a guest today that we probably should have introduced at the beginning, but we didn't. Jackie is joining us today. For those of you who don't know, Jackie is the donor for most of the money that we give out in scholarships, high school scholarships. She does it in honor of her parents, who were both longtime Rotarians. So we appreciate it. We're glad to see you. Please come anytime. And just a few other people that I wanted to recognize. First, standing in the corner, a person we can never meet without. It would not be Rotary without Maureen. And for two people who helped me put the installation together, and who helped, I think, all of us, more than most of us ever know. First, Julie, who is here. Maybe you can take her. And for somebody who we know how much work he does, but probably I didn't think flowers were appropriate. So for our Cliff, so after you get done wrestling with some RI website, you can have the wine. And finally, for my wife, Peg,
I've been warned that it may be a different year.
yeah, he puts up with a lot already, and I'm afraid this year will be even worse. So, again, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate
Don, there
being
was
here.
one other thing for Angela.
Oh,
Where did that go? Yeah,
where did we put it?
I don't know.
Ah, here it is. A certificate in lieu of a pin, apparently, of appreciation for your service. And cards, which I forgot. And Angela. And Pat. So enjoy the dessert.